Hello, guys, and welcome. This is the video chat author panel for the second annual Virtual Fantasy Con. And you guys, I'm Michelle Cornwell-Jordan. I am your host, and I'm chatting today with some awesome and fabulous authors. We're gonna chat about their newest releases, and we're gonna probe inside of a writer's mind. Scary, very scary situation there, but I'm excited.
Yeah.
Oh, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go clockwise from my screen, and we're going to introduce ourselves. So authors, welcome first of all, and if you could just introduce yourselves, tell a little bit, your title, and then we'll go into detail a little bit later, and also what your project's about. So we're going to start with Michelle Rabe.
First of all, I'm the one with the weird last name.
That was me.
People always screw it up, so I just tell them it's like the disease, and then they remember.
Right.
Easiest way to get people to remember. Anyway, I write 2 series right now. I have my Morgan Blackstone Vampires series, which is currently 2 books, Cast in Blood and Forged in Flame. And then I also have my Dragon Fae saga, which is currently 2 books, and I'm working on the 3rd. The first book is Dragon's Heart. The second one is Dragon's Soul, and that one's coming out October 22nd.
Very cool. Congratulations. Very, very nice. All right, we're going to the dynamic duo here. Author C.P. Bialois and Jamie White. See, I mess up everyone's.
Wait first.
Yeah.
Chival's here. Come on, women's lib. Let's go. Come on. Trying to be nice.
I'm Jamie.
Should I put up with?
Really?
Yes.
I'm Jamie. I write paranormal, usually new adult. I have 2 series out right now. The first one that I put out was the Stains Trilogy. That is the second book just got put out, and it's a paranormal series based in like reincarnation and witch trials and things like that. And the other series is the 3rd one just came out. It's the Lightworker series, and I'm currently writing book 5. It's a series, yes, that I'm torturing Michelle horribly with. I know. I'm sorry. But,
Eyes front.
But yeah, that the 3rd one just came out, and I'm working on the 5th, and it's basically about a girl who finds out that everything that she thought she knew about her family and herself is basically a lie. So.
I'm multi-genre author, sci-fi, horror, and epic fantasy. Currently, I'm working on my epic fantasy series, Sword in the Flame. My 5th book, The Rebirth, is supposed to be coming out. It's going to be coming out October 15th. It's basically a coming of age story from beginning to end. It's based all my favorite fantasy type aspects I like to put in there. I'm currently also working on a standalone science fiction book that might become a series depending how the muse flows, with a sci-fi battlesuit and tough military story. So let's see how that one works out. But we're going, William, plugging away at it.
Very cool, very cool. And now, last but not least, the lovely, and congratulations on your book baby was recently born, Sarah Buhrman. Yay! Too weird.
There we go. I am Sarah Buhrman, sometimes called Kali Sarah, and I just got my urban fantasy to Wyrd in the mail. Woohoo! My first full-length fiction publication, which seems like an odd specification, but hey, milestones, right? So right now I'm working on Fluffy Bunny, which is the sequel to Wyrd. I currently have 9 books planned in that particular series.
Wow.
I also have another series that I'm working on developing, the Magus series. The first book would be Thread Reader, which is more of a steampunk fantasy, time travel kind of thing. that follows a group of people with fey blood and magical powers and the competitions therein. I also have a book that I'm trying to get finished up. It seems to be sticking quite a bit, but that one's called The Crystal Wise, which is about a group of people who channel energy and it turns them into crystalline beings while they're channeling.
Oh, wow.
So
very cool.
Yeah, once I get that final plot point nailed down, it's going to be very good. It's just there's that sticking point. You guys know how that is.
Wow. Well, that's a great segue. I mean, I'm going to ask the very basic question that every writer expects at least once in an interview. Where do you guys get the ideas for your books? Because that is incredible. I have never heard of that. I think it's awesome. So where do you get your ideas? You can just jump in, or we can go.
Well, for me, it's always I come back to a what if question, and it's always kind of something that just really sticks with me, and it has to just kind of keep bugging me in the back of my mind, or else I don't write about it. So it's got to be something that sticks with me. And it's usually a what if question is kind of the whole overarching thing, for Cast in Blood, it's what if somebody performed blood experiments on a vampire?
Wow.
So that's kind of the start, and it was the genesis of the first book, and it's kind of gone bigger.
Very, very cool. So you were a vampire fan at the beginning, or are you just, hey?
I've read vampire books for a very long time, and when I started actually writing about them, I started reading like everything I could. I actually bought like this encyclopedia of vampires and read the whole thing from cover to cover. I looked very weird for a while. It was before Kindles, so I'm carrying around this huge book of vampire lore. And then this goes into research and everything, but I decided what I liked and what I didn't like, and kept some lore and changed others. So
very cool. Wow. All right. The rest, how about you guys? What do you get your ideas from? No, don't go at one time. Just
prompted. Wow. I get ideas from all different kinds of places. And the one short story that I have in the Lyrical Muse anthology with Michelle, that was actually inspired by Carrie Underwood's Two Black Cadillacs.
That's cool. Yes.
So, yeah, so that was one inspiration. Another book, The Life and Times Unknown in particular, I got inspired by a bunch of us years back were in a Buffy RPG, and we were having trouble like coming up with plot lines and things like that. So we started basically bitching about our muses. And so when I got into actually writing books and stories, I thought, well, what would a muse think about us? Like,
oh my gosh,
casting them out all the time, and what would they have to say to us about it? So that was basically the idea behind that one. My Stains trilogy, that was basically based on, I didn't really write a story with this dream I had, but there was a dream that I had with like magic and things like that, and it kind of inspired an image of a girl burning at the stake, which I sat down and I wrote a scene with that, and then the whole book just came from there. And I kind of also worked in my interest in like reincarnation and different like metaphysical topics. And my new series was basically, one day I was at that New Age shop where I learned Reiki, and we have gone to like meditation nights and stuff. And one day we walked in, and she basically, as we sat down, she said, I have a surprise for everybody here. If you walked in the store, you're a light worker. I'm like, okay. And that whole like idea kind of inspired the idea of a character that is a light worker. But lately that's also been inspired a lot by telenovelas, which Michelle has not
forgiving you for.
She has forgiven me about that, and she's actually banned me from watching them. It's not going to happen, but so
and we'll chat more about that in the research part, but They're not a good
Okay.
They're not a good influence on you. She's torturing her muses.
Well, for myself, I mean, I get this from about anywhere. Maybe in normal conversation, someone could just say a simple phrase, you know, or something like that. Like the one time I wrote one short story, we're walking on the beach and went underneath the pier, and
Oh God.
and she hates the story because I made it look too easy. But where the pier connects into the sand, you know, it's a cement plank, and then just a sand. I looked at it like, well, someone just dug it out a little bit. A homeless person can sleep there and be safe. You know, the water can't reach him. People wouldn't pay him any mind. And so I had a short story pop my head about a homeless guy living under a pier.
Wow.
And, you know, it's like something that comes like a part of my head. I'd see a bird, I'd like get this little idea, and everything will click together. It's some Sword and Flame fantasy stories and series that came about. I just wanted to write a short story about, you know, a group of people looking for gold guarded by a dragon. Very generic. Ended up taking a life of its own. Wasn't anything to do with that. You know, and it's like going into now 7 books.
That's
I'm in the middle of the next book. Now it's going to be 7 books by the time, because I did a quick bullet point outline. It's not going to fit in this book. I love like ancient mythology, like Greek and everything like that, and cryptoids. So, you know, my first book called Besides, a mythological thriller based on Atlantis and Greek myth and Greek history. My Winter Creek trilogy is I love Bigfoot. I love werewolves. So I thought, start off, okay, what if they ever cross paths? You know, the whole what if thing, and it kind of went from there. And so I try to go out anywhere. Like I get it from TV, and the sci-fi one I'm working on now is actually, the impetus of it was actually when I discovered Red versus Blue. I never watched it before the web series, and El Rey channel started playing it about a year ago. And as soon as it played, everything clicked in my head for the story idea.
Wow.
That was like aliens with the Marines with the armor. I always loved those type of things, but I never could think of a story for it. Just watching Red versus Blue, they're nonsensical bantering and cussing each other out. Suddenly just triggered everything in line in my head of what I want to do in this story. So, I mean, I draw from spot anywhere. Anything someone says, does, you know, and I have a messed up mind. I like messing with people's heads, so I like put my characters in really, you know, I wouldn't say unique, but really difficult situations from a nice, comfortable standpoint. And then suddenly make a wrong turn or something happens. Like I always look at my stories are always not so much like what happens when you make a decision, but the dealing with the realities and the consequences of the decision.
That's very cool. Wow. So we're all fodder. We're all fair game.
Right.
Sarah?
Well, I would have to say that 99% of my ideas are I dream the main character.
Wow.
And for example, there's a dream sequence that happens into Wyrd, and that is a slightly modified version of the dream that actually inspired the entire book. And, you know, it's everything from, for Crystal Wise, I dreamt that, you know, I was this person who was surrounded by these people that kept turning into like this glass crystal form, and we were hiding because, you know, people wanted to kill us because of it. And, you know, so like the basis of the story ends up coming out in these dreams, and I have very weird, vivid dreams. And no, I don't eat pizza just before I go to bed. But you know, I've always had these really weird, vivid dreams, and sometimes one of them will just jump out, and I'll be like, okay, you know what? There's a plot in there somewhere, and all I have to do is dig it out, and it'll be great and weird and unusual. So most of my full lengths come from that. My short fiction is actually I just decide on an item and, you know, kind of go with what happens when the mundane becomes a centrally meaningful portion of somebody's life. And then, of course, my horror is, what is the worst thing that could ever happen in this situation? And there's actually a few of them that I won't write, because if I write them, they'll be more real than they already are, and I can't do that yet. Maybe in a few years, but not yet. Can't do it.
All right. Well, I get another question that I have, and I know that in different writing groups and chats, I've seen it. There's a trend sometimes, especially I think with beginning writers, they'll write towards a trend. So my question to this panel is two-part. Have you, or why won't you write towards a trend? And it doesn't sound like you all do. You all have original thoughts and ideas. So what would be the reason why not? Why isn't that something that new writers should do? And also taboo. What, or have you ever written something that you knew that was a little taboo, but you've written it? And if so, we want to know what it is. So, or would you ever write something that's a little bit, for me, because I write mainly YA, when I wrote my short Tormenting, it had a little bit more adult behavior in it than I was used to. So that was taboo for me. So what about you guys? Two-part, a lot. That's a lot, and I'm throwing that at you. Michelle.
Well, I started writing my vampire book over 10 years ago, 10 years before it was published, or before I self-published it. So it was kind of trendy at the time, but at the same time, it wasn't, I thought it was different than what was out there. So I write what fascinates me, what interests me, whatever keeps me going, whatever makes me sit down at the computer or, pull out my phone when I'm bored or whatever. And, it's whatever works for me. So writing to a trend, I don't think I could do it. I know romance in everything and, sex sells and it's everywhere. But literally my characters, anytime we get to like that kind of thing, it's like, nope, close the door, walk away. I'm like, great. You guys, we could sell more.
You're knocking at the door.
Because honestly, I have conversations with my characters. It's the way I am.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, guys, we could sell more books if you just leave the, okay, fine.
Just something, a peek, a crack in the door.
Yeah. But then again, when I read, unless I pick up a book that's like a romance or an erotica, it's like, I don't necessarily want to read that. And too often lately, I've picked up too many books that aren't sold as romance or whatever.
Right.
And it turns into that. And I'm like, I hate to say it, it's getting boring.
Right.
So there's a little bit of my taboo. I tend to not do the sex thing just because it's never worked for me. Yeah. I'm always that person that, I like the 1950s movies that fade back after a little bit of, foreplay, and then your mind can do the rest. Have fun with that. Enjoy.
Very cool. Jamie, NCP.
You this time.
Oh, sure, let me get in trouble. Okay.
You ever get into trouble, right?
Yeah, I never get into trouble. You're right. I'm a this angel.
Mm-hmm.
Don't mind the horns. For me, it's like I don't really write to the trends because, at least for me, when I've read books written towards trends, I can kind of see it. It doesn't really have like the energy to love. It's almost like reading stereo instructions. Like if I read it and, like, say in the first page, and it basically outlines the whole book in that page, I'm like, yeah, there's no passion to it. I mean, even my writing style, I'm very anti-trend. Like I've had people tell me I will sell a lot more books if I wrote in like third-person limited or multiple selective and separate all the points of view with steam breaks. Well, I like omniscient. So 99% of my stories are written in omniscient point of view. Not everyone may like that, but that's what I'd like. It's what works for me. And I'm like, I do have enough people that actually do appreciate it, or at least think I'm a good enough storyteller, they tolerate it. So I'm grateful for that. But it's like, but a couple things I'm like sitting there, it's like, I always tell people, be true to yourself. And if you're, if you do it right, you'll be fine, right? You're right for yourself. At least that's what I always say, and I believe in. And yes, I avoid the trends. As for taboos, like I said, the sex scenes, I could do them, but I could never. I had people tell me, you got to try to write erotica, your imagination, this, and I'm like, but I sit there, I can never figure out how to plug the scenes into the stories. I've read probably maybe 30 erotica books and romance. How in the freaking crap do you fit this scene in the person's getting coffee in the kitchen? How do you bridge that gap between all of a sudden the kitchen table and the floor going out? Like, I just sit there. It's like, I envy people that can do that. So I kind of do this. Like, they may do it. Like most I'll get is like, oh shit, she straddled them, and then that's the end of the scene. I kind of fade away then, or something like that. They're playing around, then it fades away. Because I cannot see, at least in my style, I cannot figure out how to plug the hardcore sex scenes into an average scene, like I said, getting coffee, or brushing your teeth, or you pick up a shoe off the floor. I mean, I don't know where people get thinking they can segue into those. More power to them. I'm jealous of them, but yeah, I can't do that. I'm like, I might eventually give it a shot, but yeah, right now I just kind of sit down. I'm happy the way I do. I keep the nice little vague sense in there.
Yeah, very good.
I gotta agree with, like, I don't like following the trend. I don't like trying to write. And we tell people this all the time when, you know, we are at a writers meeting and new writers come in and, you know, they're asking us about writing, and we're like, look, it's like, because a lot of people now with the self-publishing and everything, they think, oh, I'm going to write a book, I'm going to put it up on Amazon, and I'm going to be rich. And you're like, you know, they have like this idea in their head about that, and we try and like tell them, look, it's like, we're not trying to discourage people from writing. It's like, if you love writing, do it, but do it because you love doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Write the stories that you love to write. Don't write a story that you think is going to be like the big seller just because you think it's going to be the big seller, because you're going to put it out there. It's probably not going to do anything because people are going to know, especially like anyone that picks it up, they're going to read it and they're going to know that you're just trying to, like, you know, put out a moneymaker, and they're not going to really connect to it, and they're not going to like it, and you're just going to be more miserable and frustrated than you started off. You know, so it's like, so that's how we, you know, kind of approach it. We like to write the stories that we enjoy writing. You know, forget what else is like trending or what's, you know, people tell you should be writing or whatever. We just write what we want. And somebody keeps trying to get me to write certain types of books and certain types of scenes, but
What's the worst thing that
He's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
She doesn't take suggestions.
if I took some of the suggestions that you've been giving me lately, Michelle would
no.
in Texas, come down here, and she would have me tied to a chair like misery, rewriting.
Until y'all go alone.
Books.
I just remember the little poem I came up with for your plot lines.
Yeah.
And I revived it, revanced it a couple times, a couple of the endings there, but she's not biting.
Oh no. Poor girl.
I try to help. You know, it's just...
Sarah?
As for writing towards trend, I have to say that, you know, the big thing that stops me from doing that is I kind of feel like it's almost cheating. Like, all of that stuff has been done so much. It would be so easy to just change the names and a few details, and the plots are already there. It doesn't feel very creative.
Yeah.
And I would get very bored with it very quickly.
No passion, right?
You know, I do enjoy reading a lot of trendy things, and you know, every now and again I find that even the, like, okay, I'm going to admit this, I actually didn't mind the Twilight series. And the thing is, I like the fact that they sparkle. I thought it was a really creative way to explain the sunlight thing. I mean, it wasn't like the best, but it was creative.
I am a Twilight fan, and I am proud to say it to this day. I'm reading it. Well, not really, but
I'm over here hiding because Twilight, it bothers me because she had so many interesting side characters. But to be honest, I think she ignored for Bella and Edward. The most boring of the two, or of the group. And you know, and the sparkling well. Yeah, there's a way to the sunlight.
But it was a creative way to explain it, and I like seeing that in these, you know, you get these books that are essentially trends, they're tropes, they're, you know, they're these things that have been done to death, and then somebody puts this little twist, and even if you don't like it, it's like, hey, it's something new and different, and it, you know, it makes you think outside the box. So I do like that, but you know, I can't write trends. It feels like I'm plagiarizing, and I can't do it. I can't get into it. I can't bring myself to do it. So that's why I don't write towards trends. I write the stories that are in my head and my heart. So there you go. There's something trendy right there. But as for taboos, I do write erotica, and I write polyamory erotica, and I write BDSM erotica, and I think the one thing that I would really, really hesitate, but at the same time I kind of want to see if I can make it work is oh, I'm gonna go to hell for saying this. All right, so werewolf pseudo bestiality. I know. So yes. No. Is that taboo enough?
You just. Well, I mean, Sarah, all jokes aside, there is an audience there for erotica would not be as big as it is. I think from what I'm hearing from the other authors, and I know for myself, there's not that release as far as, I guess that comfort level. So what does it take to just allow yourself to be free and to be and right now what we're going to do, we do need to come back and we're going to start with that question. So guys, everybody, make sure that you check out part 2 of the author panel today for the Virtual Fantasy Climb. We all are on pins and needles because we want to know what Kalasar is going to say. And so right after this, guys. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.